streaming live across the country, tackling the topics everyone is talking about online. Share, engage, and interact. This is Newsfeed Now.
Thanks for joining us on Newsfeed Now on this terrific Tuesday. I'm Hillary Hunt, and it's terrific for me because you're joining us. If you're watching it on your work computer, I won't tell your boss. Maybe you have your phone out. We're just happy that you're here. We've got a packed show for you today. We're talking about some life-saving medical breakthroughs, a metallic mystery, and even turtles, because, I like turtles. But let's jump right into it. We got to start with politics. Some big news right now. The General Services Administration has officially authorized President-elect Joe Biden to start that transition process, something we've all been watching. Biden is now able to access millions of dollars in federal funds and other resources to begin his transition to power. GSA Administrator Emily Murphy denied that she had been under any type of pressure from the White House to delay this process. And after the announcement, Trump tweeted this: the GSA, working with the Democrats, has nothing to do with his campaign's legal efforts, saying, quote, "We are moving full speed ahead and will never concede to fake ballots." And President-elect Joe Biden transition team also releasing a statement. His team said the decision is, quote, "a needed step to begin tackling the challenges facing our nation, including getting this pandemic under control and our economy back on track." Now, President-elect Joe Biden will introduce nominees and appointees today for his cabinet. All eyes are on this. Avril Haines is selected to become the Director of National Intelligence. Haines actually held top national security jobs under President Barack Obama. Antony Blinken was chosen as the Secretary of State. He served as Deputy National Secretary Advisor and Deputy Secretary of State during the Obama administration. Other appointments announced, including Head of Homeland Security, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, and National Security Advisor. And in the midst of a global pandemic affecting millions, a health director in Missouri has quit her position. She says the pushback and the threats from citizens related to her department and her role in containing the coronavirus has just become too much to bear. Elliot Davis has a story.
Things took a turn for the worse after the COVID crisis hit, and the health department later began to consider measures like a mask mandate to bring down the number of COVID cases. That met with stiff resistance. It started getting personal.
Mostly implied threats. I have received emails, with someone claiming that a group of people in the community are watching me and following me. And if I make decisions that they don't like, that there will be retaliation. My family and were photographed in public, which included my daughter. And I think it raises safety concerns. Again, especially for my kids. I can take a lot of scrutiny. I think it's expected as a public figure, but it has bled onto my family.
Things took a tense turn in the community when the health department held a meeting in September to consider a mandatory mask mandate for St. Francis County.
Lots of yelling and angry people. People threw things, threw paper at our board.
The health department okayed the mask mandate over the objections. Citizens rebelled.
You're saying after the mask mandate, fewer people wore masks?
We went out, did some counts about number of people who are wearing masks, number of people who are wearing them inappropriately, and the number not wearing. And those comparisons showed a 6% less, a 6% decrease in people wearing masks during the mandate as opposed to prior to.
The mandatory mask mandate was ended in October, just a month after being put in place. Amber Elliott says the crisis is getting worse in St. Francis County. She says the positivity rate has risen to a staggering 25%. An acceptable level is about 5%. There were about 900 COVID cases in the past few weeks in this county of just 70,000 people.
What does this say to you about our ability to overcome coronavirus, that you were running into this kind of opposition simply because you were in favor of a mask mandate?
Right. Yeah, I think, it's representative of a bigger struggle that we're seeing across the country with public health workers that are facing, backlash when they're trying to do investigations or when they're just trying to deliver a public health message.
Is there any catalyst that you see that it's going to take to bring Americans together on this really important and deadly issue?
Unfortunately, we see this with other diseases. We've seen it when fighting the opioid crisis here in St. Francis County. It's not real for you until it's real for you. But unfortunately, that's not what we want. Unfortunately, being the director of the health department has put that target on my back. But again, I think this time is the time to be working together, not seeking to tear apart.
Elliot Davis joining us now. And Elliot, it's kind of sad to see, someone's life be threatened over her just trying to do her job and save lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's really an incredible story and just gives you an idea why we're having such difficulty trying to get the nation to pull together and get everybody kind of on the same page in trying to take the measures to deal with coronavirus. Here is a health director, not the first one I've run into when I've gone to areas outside of St. Louis County, for example. City and county have mask mandates and a lot of protocols in place. When you get outside of that, St. Francis County, where this health director is, you get a lot of resentment by citizens who see it as an infringement of their constitutional rights. And so that's what this health director was running into. And she was, like I said, she was trying to they had a mask mandate, citizen, like staged almost a rebellion of sorts that she had to try to deal with. And it just became unbearable when she started getting the threats, and she started getting threats on social media. She started having people taking pictures of her and her kids at events, at sporting events with her daughter, for example. And so when it extends to your family, obviously that is a significant problem. And she, like I said, was told that, if you do things we don't like, you're going to pay the price. That's enough to concern anybody.
Yeah, and like she said, she's just trying to do her job, just trying to protect people. And I think, right now, yes, a lot of people are angry. It's a tough time for so many, but sometimes it's easy to lose sight of someone just trying to do their job. Her job is a health director, and she's looking out for the health of the people she, at the time, was serving.
Yeah, absolutely. You get people in these positions, and they really are dedicated people. They are in it to help the public, and this being a pandemic, this has to be the pinnacle of their career. This is, this when it counts, when it really counts, because it's life and death. And so they are doing the best job they know how. They are trying best positions they can. And in this situation where they say, okay, we believe a mask mandate is the best approach. We believe social distancing and all these things. But when they get a population and they're saying no to all these things, and it's like vehemently, we have gone down to these areas, St. Francis County, Franklin County, Jefferson County, all around Missouri. And Missouri is one of the hotspot states. This is one of the states, one of the biggest problems in the entire United States as you get to rural areas and the like. And when you start seeing things like this, then you understand why Missouri is in the position that it's in, being one of the worst areas in the United States dealing with new cases of coronavirus.
That's right. Well, thank you, Elliot. Elliot Davis out of Missouri for us. And of course, we thank the healthcare workers and everyone who is working to fight this pandemic. Let's talk about something else. Drivers, you're going to want to check your car. We've got a heads up. General Motors is recalling 5.9 million vehicles for an airbag issue. This includes several vehicle models, listen to this, built in an 8-year period. So check your car, 2007 to 2014. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration officials say the inflators are, quote, at risk of the same type of explosion after long-term exposure to high heat and humidity as other recalled Takata airbag inflators. GM officials say the recalls were unnecessary because they did not pose a safety risk. However, the company says it will abide by the NHTSA's decision and begin the necessary steps to fix that defect, which is in very rare instances causes an airbag inflator to rupture and send potentially deadly metal fragments flying. So make sure you check your cars. We want you guys to stay safe. And in the East, this is wild. New technology being developed in the way that organs are transplanted and how they could help save thousands of lives. Lisa Carver tells us how doctors at Yale are using new warm storage methods to reduce damage to organs during the transplant.
Was the same, keeping organs cold and transporting and working on tight deadlines. Dr. David Mulligan is Yale Medicine's chief of transplant surgery and immunology.
We were limited at how many organs we could actually successfully transplant. And we started to learn when there were times that the damage was too much and it wouldn't work.
More recently, new technology using machines called warm perfusion devices are being tested at locations including Yale. Instead of cold storage, a warm solution like blood is kept circulating through the organs after removal.
And then we measured with the organ out of the body of the donor, we measured how that organ was performing.
Doctors even found ways of sort of tuning up the organs.
If there was an injury to the lungs or if there was an infection like a pneumonia that could be treated with antibiotics, it could go away and then the lungs could be transplanted.
The warm perfusion could also extend the organ travel time. And Dr. Mulligan says having organs working outside the body could open other medical possibilities.
How drugs metabolize, perhaps how chemotherapy could work, how we can better target different types of tumors that would be in a particular organ. It's a huge opportunity for us to do something important that would actually significantly increase the number of transplants in the United States. So I'm really excited to help get this through the FDA.
Dr. Mulligan is on the FDA committee evaluating 3 of these perfusion devices right now. He's hoping for FDA approval in a year. New technology and new hope.
Joining us now, Lisa Carver. And Lisa, this is crazy because when you think about organ transplants and the transportation of them, they're always on ice. You know, you have it in the standard, what I called it the lunchbox, but that's what they have. And now this is new and they're saying to keep it warm, which is just polar opposite of what they've been doing for years.
It is such a game changer. It's totally amazing. You're right. It was coolers on ice. It was a very short window of time, 4 to 6 hours. This could extend that. Number one, you basically keep the lung or the heart or the liver alive. It's like a mini portable ICU where they're feeding it nutrients and they're pumping it and the organ is alive. And then they can see if it will survive on that mini portable ICU, it will likely survive in the patient. So they didn't even have that to try. It's just such a game changer. It will lead to so many more organs being available because they can see if they really work. And what's amazing is if you go on YouTube, they're called perfusion devices that keep these. They're called lungs or hearts in a box. And it's a clear like a box. And you can go on YouTube and you could see an actual lung breathing out of the body, a heart pumping. And they're even able to, quote, tune up these devices. Dr. David Mulligan at Yale leads their program, and he says they can use antibiotics if they have pneumonia on lungs to clear them up before they put them back in a patient. And this could lead to also a lot of research on cancer drugs and cancer treatments. So it's just amazing what is going on in the world of organ transplantation. And these devices can also be portable. They can wheel them onto a plane, or they could put the organ back on ice and then warm it up again once it gets to the destination.
And Lisa, a lot of people forget just how long people can wait on that transplant list. It can be years. Sometimes people wait 5 years just to get an organ, and to be able to keep these organs alive and, like you said, to clear them up too if they have any issues could save a lot more lives.
I have 2 family friends with organs, a liver and a heart. And when you watch the desperation that people go through to wait and almost die until they get that organ, just praying that same match will come up somewhere in the country, you're limited by time. It is truly amazing. And yes, this will be a game changer for so many people of so many ages.
Thank you, Lisa. A lot of lives will be saved by this medical breakthrough. We appreciate your time and your story. And moving on to the next one, a transport of 22 cold-stunned sea turtles, my dad would love this story, arrived in Panama City Beach this weekend after a long flight. Jessica Ayres tells us about their journey from the cold, sandy shores of New England to a much warmer climate so they can rehabilitate.
Sea turtles can survive outside of the water. They do breathe air, so they don't have to be in the water to breathe, which is awesome.
Lauren Albritton, standing coordinator of Gulf World Marine Institute, says being cold stunned is comparable to a human getting hypothermia.
What usually happens is that when they get very slow moving and cold, they float up and then they get pushed to the shore. So they actually have teams up there of different organizations that every season patrol the beaches every day in every section looking for these turtles.
After finally making it to Gulf World, the turtles got their temperature checked and their heart rates monitored.
Patients have already had an initial one at the National Marine Life Center, but we're giving them a second one right now just to make sure they went through the flight okay. Then basically we'll do whatever we need to get them back up to health.
Albritton says some might need antibiotics, which may increase their time to rehabilitation.
So if they are on antibiotics, typically they have to go through a complete round of antibiotics, which can be anywhere from 30 to 45 days. Then you have to be off of them for 30 days as well to make sure there's a quarantine period.
But Albritton says when they can swim on their own, it's time to go back into the Gulf of Mexico.
The reason you don't have to fly any of these kids back up to the New England area is because these are a Gulf of Mexico species.
The process, while rewarding, can also be a little emotional for staff.
We have patients that we've grown particularly fond of. It can be a little sad, but everybody agrees that while it is a little sad sometimes, it is what we're here for.
I'd be sad letting go of those cuties too, but joining us now, Jessica, the girl who did this story for us. And Jessica, it is so important to get those turtles in the warm water. I know this because my dad is like a turtle fanatic. So talk a little bit about how, it's dangerous for them to be that cold and the importance of transporting them to warmer climates.
Yes, it is actually. And the lady I spoke with at Gulf World, I can't remember her name right now, but she said that what can happen is the turtles almost have like hypothermia, which is what would happen to a human if they were in the same condition. And they almost kind of go catatonic and they can't move their, they can't move their flippers and they just kind of are, stunned and just frozen. And she said they can eventually die if they don't get warmed back up and rehabilitated, that it can be very serious.
It also kind of amazes you just to see how far they go. If you think about Florida compared to New England, that is a lot of miles in the water.
It is, right? They swim a very far way, and these are small turtles. She said that they're not necessarily adults, so they swam a very far distance in a very short period of time. And then they'll get to go, back into the Gulf of Mexico once they're rehabilitated.
Yeah, and hopefully they don't go back to those colder waters because, come on, Florida is where it's at. They need to stay there. Jessica, thanks so much. Love the story about the turtles. Now from turtles to fishing, a pair of best friends from Virginia are traveling the country fishing for each state's official fish. I love this. Jody Long has more on their big adventure.
What's in there, Luke?
Yeah, we have most things in here.
Living out of their parents' van since August, Luke Conson and Daniel Balsarac are on a mission.
Catfish are one of the things that we fish for most, so it's kind of frustrating that it's taken a couple days, but we'll get one hopefully today, and then we will move on to Nebraska.
The Virginia teens are in the middle of a nationwide fishing trip.
I'm just not casting more than like 6 feet out there.
To catch each state's official fish.
I guess it'll be a good grandpa story or something like that. But yeah, it's pretty crazy, and I'll definitely remember it for a long time.
The two made a quick decision to not start their freshman year at Clemson as the virus moved all classes online.
I think we're probably staying safer than most people, just because we're not around too many people, and we're just outside kind of living our lives, not surrounded by most people. So I think it's a great way to take this opportunity of the pandemic and turn it into something that's pretty fun.
And the pictures prove it. They started on the East Coast, then headed up to the Northeast, and now into the Midwest. Catching a fish in Iowa will make the 20th state fish they've caught so far.
We just kind of gave it a purpose. Like there's a goal to it, which it's not just any fish. It's like the specific species, which, adds a feeling of accomplishment when you actually do get it. It's a little more difficult.
This guy, the channel catfish, is what they're after, but he's been hard to catch.
That's not good.
They've had a couple of bites, but not the bite.
At least it's a catfish.
Yeah, that's a weird looking
flathead, yeah.
That's a weird flathead.
Fishing is teaching them a lot about life in a pandemic.
Trust the process.
Sometimes it feels like you're doing everything right and it just doesn't work out. We've gotten used to that. We're a little better at handling that now than we were at the beginning.
We're gonna get our fish doing this.
But until their lucky bite, they'll wait, appreciating life's change of pace.
For sure.
There's no question. This is a lot better.
We got to bring in Jody Long. Jody, they are learning some patience, which is something I probably should have learned at their age. But I want to talk about how many different fishing poles do they have to have? Because every state, you know, there's fly fishing, there's deep sea fishing. Every fish is different. How many poles did they load up in that car?
I think I saw in the back of their parents' van like 6 or 7 different poles. And they said when they were fishing in Iowa, where we're living right now, they said that it was the most boring type of fishing. Now, I'm not a fisherman myself, so I'm not familiar with it, but it wasn't active fishing, which is what they're used to doing. So they were just kind of casting and waiting for that bite. But I saw probably 6 or 7 different fishing rods in the back of their van.
And okay, just how many states have they hit so far and like how long? I'm trying to track them.
Okay, yeah, so since August is when they started, and they took a short break in between that time from now, but I checked their Instagram just before hopping on here, and they've gone through 22 states so far. So they're making pretty good progress, and their goal is to get to Texas by Thanksgiving. So will they make it? I don't know, but they're on their way to Kansas right now.
They've got an Instagram too. That's awesome. You know, that's the way of doing it. The millennials, just documenting the whole thing. I'm sure they're going to grab a big following, because I'm wondering when they're going to come to Arkansas and get the alligator gar. That's our big fish here.
Really interesting. They did a ton of research into this before embarking on this nationwide journey. So I think that they'll get pretty far. Maybe it'll be after Thanksgiving when they visit Arkansas. But they had a lot of trouble catching the channel catfish, which is Iowa's state fish. But they got it finally after about a week of fishing. But then they are now on their way to Texas with that destination in mind by Thanksgiving. But if folks want to follow along on their Instagram page, it's Fish for 50, spelled out FIFTY, not numerical. And they have pictures posted from along their journey so far and all that they've caught. So.
Okay, Jody, I got to let you go because I got to follow him on Instagram now, just like everyone else, because I am extremely interested. Jody out of Iowa for us. Thanks so much, Jody. We appreciate it. That is an interesting story. Way to go, guys. Well, let's talk about another animal. President Trump will save one turkey from getting gobbled this holiday season. I met one this morning. They're so sweet. He's going to pardon the annual Thanksgiving turkey at the White House today. Check out that beaut. Wow, that turkey's name is Corn and Cob. And they arrived in D.C. and are staying at the Willard Hotel. What a life of luxury for that big bird after leaving Iowa over the weekend. Maybe those fishermen picked that one out. This is President Trump's last year to pardon the turkey, so he picked a good one. That's a bushy one. And the National Thanksgiving Turkey presentation is a tradition that first took off in 1947, according to the White House. The first president to grant a turkey pardon was actually President George H.W. Bush. In 1989, 1 year before I was born. Wish he would have pardoned me. I'm just kidding. Well, it all started as a routine effort to round up bighorn sheep in southern Utah by a helicopter mission by a crew with the Utah Department of Public Safety. And it quickly took an extraterrestrial turn when members of the flight crew saw, check this out, a large metal monolith. It's about 10 to 12 feet tall. In the middle of red rocks, the crew says they think it was most likely placed there by an artist, but it is illegal to install these types of structures or art without authorization on public land. The location of it is not being disclosed, so you won't find it. The Bureau of Land Management will decide what to do with it and if there's further investigation needed. But hey, I mean, we're not saying it's aliens, but my producer definitely thinks it's aliens. But, you know, chew on that for the rest of the day. That's all the time we have for Newsfeed Now. Make sure you join us here tomorrow, same place, same time, but some more cool stories. Go follow that Instagram. Have a good day.